everyone, I'm going to go through a demo of how we produce those digital technical drawings. This is something that we did in fashion quite a few weeks ago in September and October, and we created an outline for a garment. So the video and PowerPoint for that is still on Moodle, so you can use that to recap anything that I don't go through now, but I'm going to try and go through everything. So you need to open up a new Illustrator document, so go to Create New, and then we're creating an A4 blank page. So that should load up in a second when my computer stops being so slow. Brilliant. So we now need to drag and drop our scanned image. So I've made that really big. Let me make that a bit smaller. So we need to hold the shift key down to keep it in scale. Reduce that down so that it fits on my actual page. I'm going to zoom back in. So remember, Command plus is zoom in, Command minus is zoom out. So I've placed this on. I'm just going to quickly turn it around. So if I scroll to where the anchor points are at the end of my image, when I touch an anchor point, it allows me to stretch it. When I hover above it, it gives me a curled line so that I can rotate my image. So if I hold my shift key down and then twist it in the right direction, I've got my image in the right direction. So I'm going to zoom in on the image that I want to trace. So I'm going to take this central one, which is the main jewellery design that I did in the demo last week. So we need to use this as a template to trace. At the moment it's quite dark, and because my lines are black it's quite difficult to see. So I'm going to turn it into a template. So I'm going to double click on the little image on my layers palette. I can call it a template layer. Oops, I keep doing it. Layer. And then click on template, and it automatically selects a 50% dim. That should be okay for most images, so I'm just going to click OK. And so it's dimmed it and flattened it to the page so that I can't move it or draw on it or do anything. It stays there like a glued on template. I'm now going to use it to trace over, so I'm going to zoom in so that I can see it more clearly. And I'm going to create a new layer to work on. So at the bottom here we've got that folded up piece of paper, and that gives us a new layer. I'm going to call this jewellery design. So I need to now use my pen tool, and I need to make sure I've got the right colours set. We're going to give it no fill so that we can apply colour to it at a later stage. So remember, that's that white box with the red diagonal line through it. And my stroke, which is the ring, I'm keeping that as a black line. As a recap, here's how we use the pen tool. So we click to make a line, and then we let go of our mouse and click again to do the end of the line. So we click, click, click at the beginning and end of the line to make a regular straight line. To make a curved line, we click at the beginning and then we click and hold, and it gives us these anchor points and handles when we stretch our mouse out. So when I move my mouse widthways, it makes deep curve. When I bring it in, it makes a shallow curve. When I move my handles up, it moves the curve up on the line, or I can make it so that it drops down on the line. So these are used to control the shape of our curve. So for curve, it's click and hold, click and hold. You can see when I'm doing it that every time I do a line, so when I've done a curved line, the computer thinks it knows what I want to do. And so it creates another curved line for me. But I might want to do a curve and then go straight into a straight line. And so I have to be able to deselect all of the path that I'm working on so that I can start again, because it's going to keep trying to draw it for me, and I want to do a straight line and it's drawing a curve and I can't stop it. So in order to stop it, we deselect, which is Command, Shift and A. And so you can see that my line's no longer highlighted in red and I can start drawing somewhere else. If you're on a PC, the shortcut might be slightly different. So when you're drawing with your pen tool, if you go to the Select option at the top of the menu bar, there's a deselect, and there should be some shortcut keys at the side of it which tell you which keys to press on a PC. So that lets us deselect the line, and then I can start drawing somewhere else, or I can go from doing a curved line and then click again on the anchor point and do a straight line. so it allows us to control the lines that we produce. If we use the black arrow tool, we can highlight everything that I've just drawn and press the delete button to get rid of it. So we're going to go over our basic sketches and trace them with the pen tool. We're going to do this roughly at first just to get the basic shapes in, and then we're going to use the white arrow to tweak things, close them up and tidy them up. Okay, so pen tool, I'm going to trace the outline of my object. Sometimes your hand sketch might be a bit wobbly, and so you might make it a bit smoother on your digital version, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. So try and keep your curves really long, because then you have less of those jewellery joints. So try and make the biggest curves that you can to go around shapes, and then you end up with a much smoother line to work with. So I'm going to just do part of this shape so that we can make this a short video, but you'll need to trace around each of your elements, making sure that at the end we've closed up the shape so that it's continually joined together with one black line and there aren't any gaps in it, because if we later on try to add colour, it will just bleed out of the gaps and go into the background. So here I've got to the point where the curve's going in one direction and I want it to go the other way, so I'm going to have to deselect, Command Shift A, click on my line and start it again by making the right type of curve direction. So I'm going to go straight up here and then join it up. So when I got to the end, at the side of my pen tool it gave a little circle, and that meant that it was going to close my line up as a continuous shape. I now need to use my white arrow tool to click on some of these lines and make sure that they're better shapes. So when I click on a line, it highlights the white anchor box, I'll zoom in, highlights the little white anchor, and it also brings the handle back for me so that I can smooth my shapes out. I'm going to smooth that dint out of there. Move over, I've got a bit of a wobbly area going on here, so I'm going to move this actual whole anchor point. So instead of it being out here, I'm going to move it so it's touching my line a bit more closely. I'm going to do the same on that one, drop it down, and then use my handles to edit the shape a bit more. Bring that one in, use my handle, I don't know why that's so wobbly in the middle. So you just need to play around with each of your shapes until you've got something that you feel more accurately reflects your drawn shape. Again, like I said, sometimes your shapes are going to look cleaner when you've done it digitally, and that's okay. You might take this opportunity to think about your design and how it could be improved, and that's a-okay too. So I'm smoothing them out, bring that one down a bit because it's real high. Got a bit of a bump going on there, haven't I? Smooth that out. What have we got going on down here? So I'm bringing my points down where I need to, smoothing out any bumps in the road that I've got so that I've got smoother lines to work with. So you'll be able to spend a lot more time on yours making it really accurate by moving your anchor points, playing around with your handles and trying to get the best shape that you can. I'm going to leave mine there for this demo so that we're not watching me perfect this strange drawing that I did last week. There we go, that'll do. I can't leave that one there. That one has to be moved in so that it's more closely representing it. There we go, I'll leave it there, I promise. So we've now got our basic shape. We can use the eye tool on your layers palette, click on it and get rid of our template in the background and see what our design looks like. You'll need to go into your design and add in all of the elements, so I would add in all of these curves and lines that I've done as separate pieces, using the white arrow tool each time to tweak it. Once I've finished my design, I'll expand it because at the moment mine's a really small design. So I'm going to highlight with the black arrow tool around the whole shape, then use my shift key and my mouse to extend the frame around the item, make it bigger. So I've got a large scale version of my design. So you need to screenshot all the way through the process. So screenshot making your template, screenshot using the white arrow tool, screenshot using the handles, the pen, creating curves, all of the different techniques that we've just been through. So you'll have at the end of the day a range of screenshots. Reminder, on a Mac it's Command-Shift-3 to do the whole page. Command-Shift-4 lets you draw a box around a certain area and takes a picture of it, puts it on the desktop. For PCs you'll need to use the snipping tool, so if you search at the bottom in your menu bar for snipping tool, that will let you take screenshots. So you need to save your screenshots, annotate them with your processes, the tools you've used, because this is a materials, techniques and processes unit, so we need to show the techniques and processes that we've used. You then need to save your digital technical drawing and put it in your sketchbook so that it concludes this part of the design process where we've gone from a museum visit, taken some primary sketches, produced designs from them, and then digitise it as a professional design. Okay?